Packers get good news after an embarrassing loss to the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to break that down here in this video. First, I would love for you guys to leave your comments. Let me know who you feel the greatest Packer receiver is of all time. I'm not talking about who had the most receiving yards, although that category may coincide with who you feel the greatest receiver is. In my opinion, it was Sterling Sharpe. Sterling Sharpe, one of those electrifying wide receivers. In fact, and if his career wasn't cut early due to that neck injury, this could have been one of the greatest, most decorated wide receivers of all time. Speaking of great receivers for the Packers, right now you've got Jayden Reed. This is a dude that is just separating himself from the rest of the league, especially at the slot receiver position. This is a guy, if you're Matt LaFleur, you love having him on your side because he is just a game changer, and defenses have to account for just how good and how dangerous this dude is. He can get done not just through the air, but also rushing. He has 6 carries for 91 yards and a touchdown. But to that effect, the Green Bay Packers, Jayden Reed, when you account for adjusted yards as a slot receiver, they are leading the league. You have Jayden Reed, 334 yards. Chris Godwin, right behind him at 268, but that's a pretty big separation between first and second place there. Justin Jefferson, 5th on that list. And when you take into effect a couple other factors into the slot receiver position, adjusted yards per route run value, Jayden Reed plus 218, Jennings at plus 171, Chris Godwin at plus 141, Justin Jefferson at plus 140. So again, a huge gap from first to fourth where Justin Jefferson currently sits. So the encouraging news for the Green Bay Packers and the good news that they get is that they've got the best receiver, the number 1 slot receiver in the league. And keeping in mind that was with Malik Willis throwing to him 2 of the 4 games. And the Packers were being ultra conservative with him, primarily running those 2 games. So Jayden Reed's value is only going to continue to increase. The Packers also leading the league in takeaways. Also, they're leading the league in big plays from scrimmage, and that's with 10+ yards rushing and 20+ yards receiving. The Packers leading that big play category at 38. That is a big number. When you start mentioning the Packers leading the league in takeaways and big plays, those 2 categories, very important to win championships. A category that's not important to win championships is penalties. Unfortunately, the Packers, that's what's kind of keeping them back from being 4-0 currently. The Packers, number 4 in the league as far as most penalized teams. Packers need to clean that up. Also on the injury front, the injuries have compounded there. Jair Alexander and Carrington Valentine missing from the defensive backs last week. Would have loved to have had them involved in Jeff Hafley's defense. Looking forward to seeing what Jeff Hafley can draw up this week with a depleted Rams team. Hopefully they can get another 3+ takeaways in that game. So on 5th on the list for Detroit, they're number 5 with 30 big plays. You got the Vikings, number 9, with Sam Darnold showing himself to be a very good game manager for the Minnesota Vikings. He's one of the league leaders in a lot of statistical categories as a quarterback. Where are the Bears on this list for big plays? Well, they happen to be dead last, and that is with, going and getting Caleb Williams, number 1 overall in the draft. Now, I'm not saying this dude isn't going to pan out, and we're only talking 4 games in, but it's not looking good if you're a Chicago Bears fan because you invested so much into that offense, getting Swift, getting Keenan Allen, guys like that to help support Caleb Williams, but they're being ultra conservative with him. Big plays from scrimmage, they are last in the NFL at number 12. But the Bears did lead in a category this week. What was that? Well, Bears punter Troy Taylor named NFC Special Teams Player of the Week. I laugh because, man, if there's a category you don't want to be leading in, it's with your punter. Unfortunately for the Bears, they're having to punt a whole lot, which doesn't bode well with Caleb Williams and what they've got going on there in Chicago. But they do come with a win, because their defense has just been keeping them in games, and their special teams apparently has been keeping them in games. Whereas the Packers, well, our special teams, we're still trying to figure out what we've got for a field goal kicker in Narvison. and the Packers bringing in a couple of quote unquote veterans out there, a former Patriot and Rams kicker. They worked them out statistically. When you look at the percentages between Narvison and their stats, not that big of a difference out there. So the Packers still searching for, or at least trying to add some competition to that room. So leave your comments. Let me know what you feel is the greatest Packer receiver of all time. But the Packers, they're not looking in that bad of shape to date. They have the number one slot receiver out there. They're leading the league in takeaways, and they're also leading the league in big plays from scrimmage. So not all bad, even though we're 2-2 at the moment. I still think we've got some very big building blocks to build on. So leave your comments. Let me know what you guys think. Go Pack, go.